Hello everybody, Prudent Discourse here again for another live ponage. These have been kind of fun to do, and I've decided just to do one tonight on YouTube user LoneStar1776, who, if you haven't seen his videos, he is certainly an interesting fellow. Uh, anyway, just a little announcement before I start. I do have one live ponage scheduled, I think, for Sunday night with another YouTube user who I'm just going to keep the identity of that YouTube user a surprise, because it will be of another chick track. And the second announcement is, yeah, I'll probably have more fun with the chick tracks later on, and I'm not, trying to steal from the Bible Reloaded guys. I know that they do that. Yeah, I didn't even know that they actually did this when I actually did my ponage of one last week. So anyway, I'll just to let anybody know if there was any concerns about that. I don't even think there were. It was probably stupid to actually bring that up. Anyway, Lone Star's video today is where he is endorsing geocentricity, which I'm pretty sure, as everybody knows, that is actually the idea, not that of heliocentrism, where objects in the solar system revolve around the center of the solar system, which is the sun. But oh no no no! Apparently, it's not just that everything revolves around the center of the solar system being the Earth, or in the geocentric model, which actually Lone Star, like many other geocentrists today, went even one step further to claim that the Earth actually doesn't move on its own, like there's no actual orbit, and that everything in the universe revolves around it, which, if you haven't seen Cool Hard Logic's video series, it's basically physics-defying horseshit for a number of reasons, and I'll even post a link of one of his videos in the chat. I don't have time to go over all the specifics, but I will go over some of the more basic specifics in Lone Star's video. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let me just screen share. Oh.
Alright, I'm going to do a video on geocentricity. And you guys know I like to do book recommendations. The Biblical Astronomer, this is the summer of 2013. This comes from a guy by the name of Gerardus Bow. Hopefully you guys can see this. Gerardus Bow, he runs a website called Geocentricity.com. And I subscribe to his newsletter that he sends out every now and then. And he's also just came out with a book. And I recommend you get his book. I think it's called Geocentricity, Christianity in the Woodshed, or something like that. Okay, so I want to read you guys some Bible verses. These are the verses that come to mind when I think about geocentricity.
Wow, thinking of geocentricity a lot? That's a little strange.
There is a lot more. Okay, Joshua 10:13 is my first one. It says this, and the sun. Okay, this is an example where the Lord needed to make the day longer so that Joshua could kill his enemies, right? Okay? How did the Lord make the day longer? And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Now that doesn't say...
Hold on. The sun stood still. Okay, we've already violated the conservation of momentum. No big deal so far, the way I see it. Let's just keep going on. Oh.
And the earth stopped and the Lord made the earth stop rotating, right? And the sun stood still. The Lord made the sun stand still, not the earth stop rotating. There's a big difference. It boils down to do you believe this Bible, or do you believe mainstream science that has been corrupted by the devil?
Oh, there we go. We're only a minute and 30 seconds into the video, and this guy apparently thinks that science is run by the devil. Okay, let's just start off with some pretty interesting basics here. This guy actually owes it to scientific principles for how he's actually able to basically make a video on this shit in the first place. It wouldn't be possible to do this without modern day electrical engineering methods that give you lighting to your house. You owe it also to modern computer science and basically quantum mechanics itself for how you can run your camera and your computer. I mean, and apparently this guy thinks that it's all run by the devil. So by his logic, well, maybe not necessarily by his logic, but I guess he might want to hire the exorcist to get something out of his computer.
Right, and there's a domino effect that's happened throughout the history of mankind. It's been going on at least with geocentricity. It's been going on for over 400, 500 years. When Kepler, Copernicus, Galileo convinced everybody that science was more authoritative than the Bible, and when they compromised on that, they compromised that the Earth is billions of years old, and then the next step is you compromise that there's no such thing as God. We're just a random mutation driven by natural selection through evolution.
Okay. He's already made a big straw man, and we're barely 2 minutes into this. Okay, first off, it's not necessarily a compromise on worldview. Maybe, I don't know, maybe mutation and natural selection just happen to actually be an observable phenomena in our universe or in our planet. Did you ever consider that possibility? Or did you ever, I don't know, maybe actually Google results that take out the creationist bias that you tend to have, or even furthermore, the geocentric bias that you have, and maybe look at the actual physics? Because as you'll later see in this video, he provides absolutely the most pathetic model to endorse geocentrism, offering no physics whatsoever to back it up. And he even goes as far to claim that he's very knowledgeable in physics and calculus, which, quite frankly, I'm starting to think he's just bullshitting that.
And so they should have never compromised on geocentricity. There's a saying that everyone...
Oh, okay. So not compromise on geocentricity. Well, if that had actually happened, basically your entire religious worldview, or at least all of Christianity, probably would have not been around today, unless, of course, certain people were okay with the idea of, I don't know, maybe their book wasn't completely infallible. If nobody had actually compromised on that, but yet somehow something that we had observed, like heliocentrism, through several different methods of experimentation, through different mathematical models, that we've been able to essentially prove geocentrism, heliocentrism, I'm sorry. Long story short, had that happened, you would no longer be around, because I'm pretty sure humans would have, at the time, would have just gone with the actual scientific fact, and it probably would have completely obliterated the entire religious worldview. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, and there were obviously several religious leaders who accepted the science, and they were able to work that out. And, because of that, your religion is still around today, which, I mean, you probably wouldn't even have that Bible that you're reading right now if it wasn't for that compromise. Just saying.
Attacks Darwin, but real men attack Galileo. And let me tell you, the Bible is geocentric, and the Bible's always right. I've said it before.
Okay, proof by assertion fallacy. It's no big deal.
And I'll say it again. You can line up Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Lawrence Krauss, Galileo, Copernicus, Kepler on one side of the room, and on the other side of the room you got an empty chair, and just stick this Bible. Just go with the Bible every time, and you'll never go wrong. Just go with the Bible, right?
Okay, so apparently going with your book, which basically promote physics-defying nonsense the way that you're promoting it, and somehow that will be good enough to win out the top astrophysicists in the entire world. You know, I'll give that a try. I'll see how that works out.
All right. Also, in that biblical astronomer by Gerardus Bow, he talks about things like Foucault's pendulum, Coriolis effect. He talks about weather phenomenon like ball lightning, and other types of things that come into play when you look at the topic of geocentricity. The seasons, how the seasons can occur in a geocentric model, the retrograde motion of Venus, and he talks about all kinds of different things.
Okay, funny thing when he talks about the season changes, basically, if the entire Earth is completely static, but yet everything for weather patterns relies on how much sunlight you're actually getting, the sun basically has not only while it orbits the sun, but it actually has to go up and down, and it has to continue this motion over and over somehow, even though that goes against basic celestial mechanics as we know it. And there's that, and again, that's back to Cool Hard Logic. I think that was part 2 where he explained this pretty well. One of the explanations that was actually made was if this was possible and the sun could actually move up and down while it's orbiting through the vacuum of space, we would actually at some point be able to witness, or we can observe the poles of the sun. Yeah, the funny thing is that there's never been an observation of the sun's poles. It's almost as if geocentrism is false.
I got somebody showing up at the door, I guess. I want to read you guys some
verses. Maybe that'll help.
First Chronicles 16:30. What a time for somebody to show up at the door. First Chronicles 16:30. Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Now, a lot of people want to quote verses about earthquakes. Earthquakes are different than the earth flowing through space, or just hurtling through space at 177,000 miles per hour around the solar system, or the galaxy, and 66,000 miles per hour around the solar system, and 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, just spinning every which way you can imagine. There's a difference between Earth moving out of its position in the universe than it trembling from an earthquake. And so don't confuse your verses in the Bible that talk about earthquakes, okay? That movement is different than moving through the universe and its position in space. The Earth has a very designated position in space, and it's the dead center. It's not
okay, that's bullshit.
An insignificant spot out here in the universe that nobody cares about, like Carl Sagan would have you believe, which he was an absolute reprobate, degenerate God hater.
Reprobate, degenerate God hater. I have to hold on to that one for a while. Second of all, Earth's not even in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Our solar system is actually towards the edge of the galaxy. I mean, this is very basic. Again, this is just basic astronomy, and the fact that you just seem to think that you can make assertions just to prove your point shows that you have probably one of the most insane. You have probably one of the most insane egos, I think, of anybody on YouTube, as far as I've seen.
Okay, I'm going to read you 2 more verses. Psalm 93:1. The Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength. Wherewith he hath girded himself, the world also is established, that it cannot be moved.
I like how he keeps going through the more poetic versions of his scripture. That's what I find interesting. And then, especially with the Psalms, which are kind of well known for being poetic. I mean, and yet apparently this guy wants to take it a step further and then claim that that should be how we teach science. Oh, well, he hasn't actually advocated, to be fair, that we teach geocentrism in science, but I'm going to assume that he is, because it just seems, I'm pretty sure the way he attacks our already current education system as a so-called tool of Satan. Quite frankly, it would very much concern me if people actually took this guy seriously, and it also does concern me about his 5,000 subs that he has, although I'm going to guess that most of those people probably just want to get a good laugh out of him.
The world also is established that it cannot be moved. That verse right there is talking about geocentricity.
No.
It's very straightforward. Psalms 96:10. Ye that love the Lord, no, sorry, wrong psalm. Although I love that verse, ye that love the Lord hate evil. Man, I think I made a mistake, and that was a beautiful mistake. Ye that love the Lord hate evil. That's a beautiful verse, isn't it? Okay, let's go to Psalms 96:10. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Man, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, okay. This guy has also some very, very weird and sadistic thoughts. Good to know. Either way, it seems from the context of the verses that he's quoting, especially the part where that last one just talked about judgment, it seems more that it's more about establishing power over the people of Earth, not necessarily that that the authors are actually endorsing geocentricity. Although, to be fair, it could be. I mean, there definitely was a very popular consensus among the idea of geocentrism before the modern scientific age, before the people like Kepler and Galileo and Copernicus, the people that this guy apparently thinks were, again, tools of Satan. Woo.
But the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. In Genesis, it says God created the heaven and the earth. They're separate, right? Because the earth is in the center, and the heaven surrounds the earth. The Bible's been right for the last 400, 500 years. It's a science that has taken us off. And
okay, so gaining knowledge and making predictive models is a bad thing. This is like the third time he said that. Okay, so got it. Let's try that all again tomorrow. We'll just quit trying to gain knowledge of the world, and we'll just keep following what you have to say. Let's see how far that takes us in humanity. Or let's see how far that takes humanity, because I think I'm willing to see the results of how that works out. There's maybe it might turn out for the better, or it probably won't. It more than likely won't.
if you get that biblical astronomer, the book, Geocentricity, Christianity in the Woodshed, there's a movie coming out called theprinciplemovie.com, made by a Catholic, and I always have to say that I don't support Catholicism, but I have to give credit where credit is due. The movie is right on the hits the nail on the head with geocentricity. But it talks about geostationary satellites, geosynchronous satellites, Foucault's pendulum, things like that. But let's get to the point that I want to make, and I make
all of those things, I'm pretty sure, as far as I've seen from most geocentrists on YouTube, will probably represent them in a way that's completely false and unscientific. But hey, maybe they'll get it right for once.
This video because this question comes up over and over again by people who can't think past their own eyelids. They're just parroting
people like you.
What they heard in third grade regarding some solar system model that has been put up on the blackboard, and they keep repeating what they've been taught.
My third grade teacher lied to me? Oh no.
So let me get my crude model. Okay? This right here is my very, very crude model. I don't think I need my glasses anymore. So we'll call this the sun. The sun is yellow, and I found a little blue racquetball. I won't make any jokes about my blue balls, but
okay.
This is the Earth, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry again. That is, as far as I'm concerned, that is not exactly made to scale. But hey, what do I know?
And you've got the sun and the little Earth, and you guys think this, don't you? This is what you guys think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? You think the sun, you think the Earth is just spinning around this big massive sun, and that it's impossible for the sun to orbit the Earth. This is what you guys think right here, right?
Well,
Just like that. Okay? All right. First of all, if you just had these two in the model, it would seem very logical that that's true, that the Earth does orbit the massive sun. But
well, if you have just the most basic understanding of gravity, in which basically the force between two celestial objects is completely equal, so in order for the Earth to have the equal force on the sun with its lower mass, it has to make up for that with a higher acceleration, which that's how gravity works. In a geocentric model, gravity as we know it will not work. If we were to follow this guy, we would actually be forced to throw gravity out the door, as far as I'm concerned. Just
Miss Todd.
okay, it's like the fourth time I think he's made that comment, apparently, about or maybe it's like the second or third, but apparently this guy really doesn't like our education system. Okay, that's... I get the complaints, but I think I've never quite heard somebody use the term satanic before. This is actually an interesting new thing I think I've discovered today. Oh, what a sad, terrible world.
Right? The Bible's always right, right? And
That's like the third time he's made that assertion fallacy.
The rest of the world is what needs to be corrected, because the Bible corrects men.
Or could it be that maybe you're the one in need of correction? Dun dun dun!
Men don't correct the Bible. So,
except for the fact that has happened a lot in history, with all the different new versions of the Bible. I mean, come on. At bed correcting the Bible is kind of a popular thing in classical history, in case you didn't know.
What I'm trying to say is that it's not just a two-element system. We don't just have the Earth and the Sun. We have the rest of the universe, okay?
Ooh,
and the rest of the universe makes a whole different picture, okay?
Oh, I'm very curious.
Now I got another ball, and we'll call this ball the rest of the universe.
Whoa! What? Hold on. Apparently, the rest of the universe is encapsulated within a spherical singularity. Apparently, you can't just think of the rest of the vastness as the universe. You just add an extra ball for representation. You know, God, this model that you apparently are making with absolutely no physics to back you up in any way just keeps getting worse. Oh dear.
Stick my little coat hanger. I know you guys making fun of me, but I don't care.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't take much to tear down the lies of Satan, right? It doesn't take much.
Okay, it's another Satan count.
Scientific buildings and their educational systems and their colleges, and you guys want to like promote. I'm a promoter of science too, but if you
no, you're not. You've already said. I think you actually said earlier in this entire video that you actually have to go against science if it conflicts with your biblical perspective. I think you've actually said that twice, if any, already. And yet this guy now wants to claim that he's a proponent of science. Nice.
If you haven't figured it out, if you don't know, I'm not bragging, because I think all accolades of men will fall. I think when we get to heaven, it'll almost be like we're embarrassed that we were indoctrinated so bad.
Oh, so apparently everybody else, or what I mean by everybody else is anybody who's rational enough not to believe in the bullshit that he's promoting, is apparently supposed to be embarrassed. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
I happen to be an electrical engineer with a minor in mechanical engineering, and I took a lot of physics and calculus and everything else in college, so I'm familiar with some of our higher learning systems, and I'm here.
Yeah, this is the part I mentioned earlier. He apparently claims to actually have taken calculus, physics, and engineering courses. Please provide proof of this, sir, because based on what you've said so far and the models that you're already trying to make for a basically debunked model, quite frankly leaves me under the impression that you're either crazy or you're just a flat-out liar.
To tell you, they're all satanically indoctrinated to lead you away from the Bible, right? And so let's get back to the question. How can a larger body revolve around a smaller body?
It can't. It's really as simple as that.
Two-element system, it would seem illogical that the sun would go around the earth, right? It would seem very logical. But if you add in the rest of the universe, right, and you look at the big...
No, if you add in the rest of the universe, you just make the problem worse.
Picture, there has to be one particular point in the universe that's the center. Well, what particular point would you imagine that would be? Well, maybe it's the Earth. If I get this thing working here, this is what we have going on. And if you'll notice, the Earth stays right in the... Now...
So apparently the sun is independent of the rest of the universe from the way that he's designed his model here. Ooh, I'm very curious to know how in the world if he's even realizing this right now. He has to realize this.
In this particular model, the Earth is rotating. I don't even believe the Earth rotates.
Oh, you're just making the problem worse, dude.
In actuality, I'm having to do that because I got the coat hangers plugged into the ball. But you notice how the sun now is going around the Earth, and the Earth stays in the center, and the rest of the universe is also going around this central point as well. Now, I happen to believe that some things orbit the sun, right? I happen to believe that some things orbit the sun as the sun orbits the Earth, and that can account for the retrograde motion of Venus and other planets, right? So we got to account for these retrograde motions, and that is done in the models. If you go to GalileoWasWrong.com, right, GalileoWasWrong.com, you'll see all of these models. They're animations, and you can actually educate yourself regarding the animations of a geocentric universal.
I'll be sure to check that out later, and I'm pretty sure I am going to be as stupefied by their models as I am, quite frankly, by yours.
Model. But I wanted to show you guys, because hopefully this will put, you see this? This Earth is staying right in the center, and you got the sun orbiting the Earth, and you got the rest of the universe orbiting the central spot as well.
Apparently he still doesn't get it. Apparently a sun independent of the universe, and yet somehow he's still classifying them as different sets.
Well, okay, that is how a large body can orbit a small body, okay?
You didn't even explain anything. You provided absolutely no mathematical models to even explain this. You still have not gone over the problem of gravity, and yet you seem to you just made your own bullshit model. You made the same assertion fallacy that you've been doing since basically this video started, and then you just hope that everybody else is gonna believe your bullshit. Seriously, next time, actually, I don't know, make your point a little bit more clear to the point where somebody will take you seriously, because if you can't actually show your model to be theoretically correct, then there's absolutely no reason why any expert in the field should even consider listening to you for the whole 12 minutes. Well, then again, why would he care? Because according to him, if they don't take him seriously, he's just an agent of Satan.
Now, with just a couple of coat hangers and a few balls and I picked up in the toy store, I destroyed this stupid argument that a large body cannot revolve around a small body. Okay?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Now, if a
are not exactly giving Texas a good name right now.
I claim to be the smartest guy in the world.
You definitely are not.
I want you to seriously consider like what the satanic educational system has blinded you to, because you're incapable of thinking outside the box.
Again, I think I already said this before. I think you're the one who's probably the incapable one.
You're incapable of thinking on your own. And we've all been like born in a pile of crap, and we're trying to dig our way out of the crap, right? And I'm just saying that the best way to dig your way out of the crap is to start reading your King James Bible and believing what it says.
I think that's actually how you dig in a little deeper into the crap, especially if you're going to start promoting pseudoscience the way that you have done so pathetically this entire video. Furthermore, again, if their entire... I'll put it this way. If modern physics as we know it is false, how in the world then has it successfully made so many predictions about how we can actually do things about in engineering and other aspects? I mean, if according to you, then, if basically any part of celestial mechanics that you're apparently trying to debunk is wrong, then there's almost zero chance that you can actually you can basically land any rover on Mars. As a matter of fact, for you, under a more geocentric model, you're basically forced to accept that if everything else revolves around the Earth every day, then you actually have to have a Mars that would accelerate to the point where it goes to where it orbits around at nearly 4,000 kilometers per second. In order to basically land a rover, you would actually have to, if you arrive too early at that point, your entire rover will be smashed by the accelerating Mars, well, not really accelerating, it would probably be going at constant speed. That's a little physics mistake I just made there, sorry. But if you arrive too late, you're going to end up missing it by a lot, and you will have pretty much no chance at getting caught in its gravitational orbit. Of course, under the real physics, or under this heliocentric model, you actually have to, one, you account for a certain spot where in the solar system the rover would actually be caught in the Mars's gravitational pull, and then over a period of quite a few months, as the rover actually orbits around the planet, it actually has to steadily decrease until a point where it will only travel at around 3 kilometers per hour to the point where it could safely land on the surface. So again, what seems more plausible? And again, I'll link the Cool Hard Logic video that probably explains it better than I do. But I just want to make this point clear, though. If I could at least, if you can at least show the demonstrable mathematical proofs, which this guy should know about in the first place, what seems more plausible? One model that states that you can land a rover on Mars where, it only has to go at 3 kilometers per, or not per second, I think it was per second, not per hour. Yeah, sorry, where you would have to go around 3 kilometers per second to land on Mars, or one where you would have to go at almost 4,000 kilometers per second, and that's the best case scenario under a geocentric model. So, quite frankly, Mr. Lone Star, you're every bit of ignorance that you apparently have, if applied to mechanical engineering, especially aeronautical engineering, you would basically bring it to an abrupt end if we listen to you. You know, that's probably why I took this time, at least, to just get the lulls on this video, because quite frankly, I think it's one of the stupidest things I think I've ever seen.
Because that King James Bible is pure, unadulterated, inerrant, infallible, inspired truth from God Almighty, who created you and me and everything else in the universe.
Okay, this guy really has a big issue with his assertion fallacies.
He created the universe. I think God Almighty knows how it operates, and I think.
And he probably knows that geocentrism is bullshit. I guess, I guess if your religious worldview is right. Well, no, sorry. What I mean by that is, if there is a God, I'm pretty sure he'd probably tell you that geocentrism is absolute bullshit.
His book, the King James Bible, it says the earth cannot be moved, right?
And as far as I'm concerned, from a literal sense, the earth is not just can move, it is moving. It is actually moving. It was moving at the instant when you were making this video. It always was, and it is continuously moving right now.
It doesn't move. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I actually don't understand what you're saying, because quite frankly, how can the earth not move? That's Newton's first law. Everything is in motion. Well, it's always in constant motion unless it's enacted by another force, but long story short, there is actually a force acting on the earth, and it's the tidal friction that is slowing us down, but it's slowing us down at a far gradual rate that we can't really measure at. Either way, that doesn't change the fact that not just through its orbit or its rotation, but as a matter of fact, everything moves in an expanding universe, dummy.
When you're going to have to choose whether you believe God or whether you believe humanity. And I'm saying always just go with God and his perfect book, the King James Bible.
Which, quite frankly, I think has been proven to not be perfect.
May God bless and protect and give comfort and uplift the righteous people who believe the Bible, and may God Almighty bring divine justice to the wicked bastards who are running this world.
Yeah, and fuck off to you. Oh, wait. It probably wasn't the best for me. I'm not too well versed, I guess, in physics, but I think I could call out a few fallacies and try to at least make a few counter points to his absolutely ridiculous statements. I mean, I really hope that this guy's a Poe. Maybe if he is, I really want to know that right away. Because, quite frankly, if we have people like that running around at a high number, at least in my country, and they actually want to be taken seriously as people for promoting their form of education, that quite frankly would scare that quite frankly, that thought alone scares the living shit out of me for my entire country's future. At least in the educational department, which quite frankly has influence on every other department in this entire country. So, quite frankly, if we had people like him, more people like him running around, the country's fucked. Oh well. Have a good night.